Harrison Ford, the iconic actor known for his legendary roles in Star Wars and Indiana Jones, is not someone you'd expect to see caught up in late-night drama. But his recent appearance on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert turned into a stunning moment that no one saw coming. As the cameras rolled and the audience applauded the Hollywood veteran's entrance, things seemed normal. But underneath Ford's signature rugged grin, there was a tension few could detect, until it exploded live on air and shocked millions watching across the country. The interview began with light-hearted banter, as Colbert joked about Ford's age and his return to action roles. Harrison, known for his dry sense of humor, smiled politely but didn't laugh. "You still flying planes at your age?" Colbert asked with a chuckle. Ford responded bluntly, "You still trying to be funny?" The crowd laughed nervously, unsure whether he was serious or just playing along. But from that moment, the tone of the interview shifted, and Ford's irritation started becoming more visible with each passing minute. Colbert, perhaps sensing an opportunity for a viral moment, kept poking. He pulled up an old clip of Ford, stumbling through a press junket years ago, clearly exhausted, and played it for laughs. "Even Han Solo gets tired," he quipped. Ford looked at the screen, then back at Colbert, his expression hardening. "Why are you showing that?" he asked. "Wasn't really my best moment. Don't you think guests deserve a little more respect?" Colbert tried brushing it off, but the tension was now thick enough to cut with a knife. Things escalated when Colbert shifted topics to Ford's environmental activism, suggesting that flying private jets contradicted his advocacy. Ford's tone sharpened. "That's a cheap shot," he said. "You don't know what steps I take to offset emissions or what efforts I fund behind the scenes." Colbert countered, "Well, it's something a lot of people are asking about." Ford, clearly fed up, leaned in. "Maybe a late-night comic isn't the person to interrogate me about climate policy." The room fell silent. The usual laughter was gone. At this point, the live audience seemed frozen. Some still believed it was part of the act, but Ford's body language said otherwise. He wasn't joking and he wasn't impressed. Colbert, trying to recover the segment, reached for a pre-approved question about Ford's new film. But Ford cut him off. "No, we're not going to pretend everything's fine now," he said. "You invited me here, but you came with an agenda. I don't do this for circus clowns." Colbert looked stunned, as if even he wasn't prepared for the force of Ford's pushback. Producers backstage were scrambling. A commercial break was overdue, but the heat between the two men was irresistible to keep filming. Ford stood up. "I don't need this," he said calmly but firmly. "I came here to talk about the work I care about, not be dragged into gotcha moments for ratings." Colbert attempted to salvage the moment by offering a handshake, but Ford didn't take it. Instead, he stared into the camera and said, "This is what happens when you prioritize jokes over journalism." Ford walked off the set, leaving the audience in stunned silence. Colbert sat at his desk, visibly shaken, unsure how to proceed. That was Harrison Ford," he said awkwardly. "We'll be right back." The show cut to commercial, but the damage had been done. Within minutes, clips of the confrontation began circulating on social media. Some believed Ford overreacted, while others hailed him as a truth-teller unwilling to be toyed with by Hollywood's late-night machinery. Hashtags like Twack Ford vs Colbert and Late Night Meltdown trended worldwide. Fans on both sides debated the fallout. Was Colbert out of line for poking fun at a respected actor, or was Ford too thin-skinned to handle the format? Journalists chimed in, analyzing every word and gesture. Media experts debated whether the late-night format had lost its original purpose, to engage, not provoke. The video of Ford walking off racked up millions of views in hours. The backlash toward Colbert was swift. Critics pointed out that this wasn't the first time his interviews had taken a combative tone. Some said he increasingly prioritized viral content over meaningful conversations. Meanwhile, Ford's supporters praised him for not playing along with what they called manufactured disrespect. Memes of Ford's intense stare and the line, "You invited me here, but you came with an agenda," were everywhere, from Instagram Reels to Reddit threads. Within 24 hours, Colbert issued a statement via Twitter. "I've always respected Harrison Ford, and regret if my tone came off as dismissive. That wasn't my intention. But for many, the apology felt forced. It lacked the sincerity expected after such a public moment. Meanwhile, Ford remained silent. He didn't release a statement, didn't post online. His silence became part of the mystique, only reinforcing the idea that he had said everything he needed to, on air. Behind the scenes, CBS executives were reportedly furious. Not at Ford, but at the producers who failed to intervene or pivot the interview. According to sources, Colbert had been warned that Ford wasn't in the mood for jokes. The interview had already been tense during rehearsals. But the segment went forward anyway, driven by the idea that controversy equals views. That gamble backfired spectacularly, and the network was left to deal with the fallout. Colbert's next few episodes were awkward. Audience attendance dipped, slightly. Other celebrity guests approached the show with caution. Some even requested interview topic approvals, something that wasn't common before. The ripple effects were clear. What was supposed to be a fun conversation with a film legend turned into a serious conversation about boundaries, respect, and the changing tone of entertainment. Ford's next public appearance was at a charity gala, where he gave a short speech on conservation efforts. He didn't reference the Colbert incident, but fans and reporters noted his composure. When asked afterward by a journalist if he had any regrets about walking off, Ford simply replied, "I regret going in the first place." That quote became another viral moment, short, direct, and filled with the no-nonsense attitude that defines him. Industry insiders said the moment marked a turning point for how celebrity interviews were handled. More PR teams started getting involved. Talk show hosts were reminded to keep things respectful, especially with older legends whose time and legacy demand a higher level of courtesy. Harrison Ford, knowingly or not, had set a new bar, one that the late-night world couldn't ignore. Eventually, Colbert addressed the moment again during a more serious segment. He reflected on how the line between satire and disrespect is easily blurred. "Sometimes the punchline isn't worth the bruise," he said. "And when someone like Harrison Ford walks off your set, it's not just a guest leaving, it's a message." The audience applauded, but some still felt it was too little too late. Other celebrities came forward to share similar experiences. A-list actors, musicians, and even authors admitted they'd felt pressured to laugh along with jokes they didn't find funny. Ford's moment became a touchstone for a quiet rebellion against the fake smiles and scripted laughter that dominated late night for years. His decision to walk away resonated with anyone who's ever felt disrespected but silenced by the setting. Meanwhile, Ford continued promoting his film through more carefully chosen interviews. He sat with seasoned journalists, appeared on NPR, and did an extended conversation with a documentary host where he was treated with the reverence his career had earned. That interview went viral for all the right reasons. Thoughtful, deep, and free of the gotcha moments that marred his appearance with Colbert. The Late Show eventually recovered, but the memory lingered. Anytime an older star was booked, fans would ask, "Will this be another Ford moment?" It became part of the show's legacy, not a scar but a lesson, and one that Colbert, to his credit, seemed willing to learn from. The tension of that night never fully vanished, but it did help shape a smarter, more cautious approach going forward. For Harrison Ford, the entire incident seemed like a brief disruption in a long, respected career. But to the public it became something much more. It was a reminder that dignity has a place, even on late-night stages, that even the most relaxed settings must still uphold a baseline of respect, and that even in the world of jokes and laughter, not every guest is there to be laughed at. In the end, the confrontation wasn't just about two men on opposite sides of a desk. It was about the changing rules of engagement in entertainment, and Harrison Ford, with his signature quiet strength, didn't shout, didn't rant. He stood his ground, spoke his truth, and walked away when it no longer served him. And for that, millions didn't just respect him, they applauded him louder than any studio audience ever could.